The 2nd of February, 1943, Stalingrad, the Soviet Union. The German Sixth Army, after 5 months of fierce fighting and heavy casualties, having exhausted their ammunition and food, finally capitulates, making it the first of Hitler's field armies to surrender during World War II. The battle for the city proves a decisive psychological turning point, ending a string of German victories in the summer of 1942 and beginning the long retreat westward. The Red Army remains on the offensive, and in July 1944 liberates Majdanek, the first major Nazi camp to be liberated on the territory of German-occupied Poland. Soviet officials invite journalists to inspect the camp and to see the evidence of the horrors that have occurred there. The unspeakable conditions the liberators confront shed light on the full scope of Nazi horrors. One of Majdanek's commandants was Hermann Florstedt. Arthur Hermann Florstedt was born on the 18th of February 1895 in Bitche, today's France, then part of the German Empire. On the 28th of July 1914, the First World War began, and 1 year later, Florstedt enlisted in the German army, where he saw action in France and Russia. In 1917, he was captured by Russian forces, but because he had fathered a son with a Russian woman, he was allowed to return to Germany following the child's birth in May 1918. When the First World War ended, on the 11th of November 1918, Florstedt was awarded the Iron Cross Second Class for his service. In January 1919, Florstedt was discharged from the army and moved to Weimar. While there, he married Charlotte Wille in May 1922, but the marriage did not produce any children. From 1920 to 1924, he was a member of a right-wing paramilitary organization, Stahlhelm, or the Steel Helmet. Stahlhelm, founded in December 1918, was composed largely of disillusioned veterans who had fought in the First World War and felt disconnected from the Weimar Republic government, which existed from 1918 to 1933. During the interwar period, Stahlhelm was one of the largest and most influential veterans organizations in Germany. It provided support and camaraderie for war veterans, advocated for their rights and benefits, and promoted nationalistic and conservative political ideologies. Although Stahlhelm was not directly aligned with any political party, its members were often sympathetic to right-wing nationalist sentiments. Over time, some of its members joined or supported the Nazi Party, and by the mid-1930s, Stahlhelm was absorbed into the Sturmabteilung, also known as the SA. The SA was the Nazi paramilitary force, also known as the Brown Shirts, for the color of their uniforms. Florstedt became a member of the Nazi Party in March 1931, and the following month he joined the SA. In May of the same year, however, he left the SA and joined the SS. Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party came into power in January 1933. Florstedt was one of the main perpetrators involved in the Eisleben Bloody Sunday, which occurred on the 12th of February 1933. On this day, a propaganda march of 600 members of the SA and SS occurred in Eisleben, a town located in central Germany. The Nazi followers stormed a local gymnasium, where a coming-of-age ceremony for members of the youth organization of the Communist Party of Germany was taking place. During the attack, the stormtroopers used both hand-to-hand combat and firearms, resulting in 25 serious injuries and the deaths of 3 young people. 3 months after the Nazis came to power, Florstedt became the city council chairman in Eisleben. In July 1933, a member of the Communist Party of Germany reported that he had been tortured by Florstedt during an interrogation, causing him to faint multiple times. Despite these brutal actions, a personal report signed by SS Lieutenant General Hans Adolf Pritzmann described Florstedt as a loyal, honest, cheerful, open, lively, tough, energetic, very independent, quick-witted, clear-headed, and well-educated. Regarding his behavior on and off duty, Pritzmann noted, easily agitated, quick to use his fists, yet somewhat restrained, strictly military while on duty, very sociable off duty, and therefore enjoys drinking. On the 2nd of December 1935, Florstedt was fined 300 Reichsmarks, which is an equivalent to 2,770 United States dollars today, for attempted prisoner release, public disturbance, and property damage after creating a drunken incident at a police station the previous day. However, despite his problematic behavior, he was promoted to SS Colonel in April 1938. The Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939 when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The same month, Florstedt became a member of the Waffen-SS, the military branch of the SS, with the rank of first lieutenant. He was then transferred to the Buchenwald concentration camp and became a block leader there. Buchenwald was one of the largest concentration camps established within German borders. Prisoners lived in the Buchenwald main camp, which was surrounded by an electrified barbed wire fence, watchtowers, and a chain of sentries outfitted with machine guns. At the entrance to the main camp, there was a notorious punishment block, known as the bunker, where prisoners who violated the camp regulations were punished, and often tortured to death. At Buchenwald, Florstedt's behavior towards the camp guards was described as extraordinarily arrogant. After several complaints, the concentration camp's inspectorate assigned him to a position where he would have no direct contact with the guards. In July 1940, Florstedt was transferred for 3 months to the Sachsenhausen concentration camp. While there, he quickly became notorious for his cruelty, urging the kapos to kill some prisoners. The kapos were prisoners in Nazi camps who were selected by the SS to supervise the other camp inmates. They received better food, clothing, and housing, and had a reputation as brutal supervisors, beating, denouncing, and even killing their fellow prisoners. In October 1940, Florstedt returned to Buchenwald, and his behavior towards prisoners became increasingly brutal and unpredictable. He would beat Jewish prisoners and force them to sing the song called Jewish Song, which contained anti-Semitic and offensive lyrics. In 1941, Florstedt became a deputy camp commandant, and in October of the same year, he ordered a one-day food deprivation for the entire camp, and had 3 known communist block elders replaced and assaulted. During his service at Buchenwald, Florstedt had a sexual affair with Ilse Koch, the wife of Karl Otto Koch, the camp's commandant. She was nicknamed the Beast of Buchenwald for her cruelty towards the prisoners. In June 1942, Florstedt was transferred to Mauthausen concentration camp for 3 months. From late November 1942 to October 1943, Florstedt served as the camp commandant of the Majdanek extermination camp in German-occupied Poland. It was in October 1942, 1 month before he arrived in the camp, when mass murder operations using poison gas had begun at Majdanek, and they continued until the end of 1943. There appear to have been 3 gas chambers at Majdanek. At least 2 were shower rooms reconfigured for the use of Zyklon B gas. At least one of these 2 was used to kill human beings. The SS killed tens of thousands of Jews at Majdanek. The majority of them arrived in the camp as forced laborers and either died as a result of the brutally inhumane living conditions or were killed in the gas chambers after the Germans determined that they could no longer work. Satisfied with his performance, Odilo Globocnik, then the SS and police leader of Lublin, proposed Florstedt's promotion to SS senior colonel. However, the promotion was halted, as Florstedt was transferred back to Buchenwald concentration camp in October 1943 for the purpose of conducting a procedure in connection with a corruption affair involving Buchenwald camp commandant Karl Otto Koch and his wife Ilse. SS investigators led by SS Judge Georg Konrad Morgan found that the Kochs used the Nazi apparatus to amass a huge amount of wealth at the expense of Jews. This was illegal, because under the Nazi regime, all possessions stolen from murdered Jews were considered property of the Reich. Florstedt was arrested on the 25th of October 1943, not only on suspicion of embezzlement, but also for randomly killing prisoner witnesses. He was held in custody in Weimar, and following the investigation he was found guilty of murder and corruption by an SS court and sentenced to death. There are 2 contradictory accounts of what happened next. Allegedly, Hermann Florstedt, then 50 years old, was executed by the SS on Himmler's orders on the 5th of April 1945 in Buchenwald concentration camp. Different accounts, however, claim that Florstedt had escaped from custody in Weimar in April 1945 and went into hiding. According to a testimony by Florstedt's sister-in-law, after the war he stayed with her in Halle for a short time before going into hiding. Moreover, in April 1962, the newspaper Thüringer Tageblatt reported that based on the testimony of a former Buchenwald prisoner, Florstedt was employed by the criminal police in Mainz. The Buchenwald camp, the place of most of Florstedt's atrocities, was liberated on the 11th of April 1945. During the camp's existence, the SS imprisoned some 250,000 persons from all countries of Europe in Buchenwald and murdered at least 56,000 male prisoners. Some 11,000 of them were Jews. There were no tears shed for Hermann Florstedt. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.